I came to the United States in 2006, and that was rough. Because I came as a third year in high school, the English class for that level was not appropriate for someone who was trying to learn English. It was a literature course where we had to read pieces written by Edgar Allan Poe, William Faulkner, and Arthur Miller. Their works were written way back in the past, so I had difficulties understanding them. Here's the worst part about being in that class: we had to read out loud. Every day, I would be looking at my watch, hoping and praying that I would not have to read. Starting from the first row, one by one, a student would read a passage. As my turn to read got closer and closer, I would be sitting there with cold sweat and bracing for what was about to happen. And when I read, total disaster. I would stutter and read slowly. When I didn't know how to pronounce a word, I would be silent for a moment, and then the teacher or the kid next to me would tell me how to pronounce it. On top of that, my accent was so thick that no one could understand me. At that time, my high school loaned us laptops for the school year. They happened to have a built in microphone and audio recording software. Out of curiosity, I decided to record myself reading out loud. I kid you not, I couldn't understand myself. My self esteem was already low, and listening to myself made it even worse. But this leads me to point number one: get a clear picture of your starting point. Sun Tzu said, "If you know your enemy and yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles." I already knew I couldn't speak English, but listening to my recording was like seeing my problems in high definition, an intel I needed for battle. The expectations were set, and that told me that I had a long and challenging road ahead of me. Knowing that was scary, but it was better than being ignorant of the obstacles I was going to face. Point number two: get your reps in. One day, my mom brought me and my siblings to the library. As I walked around, a book caught my attention: Pendragon, the Merchant of Death. It had a catchy title, so I picked it off the shelf. I flipped to the first page and thought, wow, this is easy to read. Compared to what we were reading in class, Pendragon was way more enjoyable. It's about a teenager named Bobby Pendragon, a boy who was forced to travel through different time and space to prevent the destruction of multiple worlds. I borrowed it and read it out loud in my room. I decided to do so because I wanted to get good at reading out loud in class. When my mouth got dry, I took a sip of water. When I got tired, I read silently. But I read out loud for the majority of the time. When I was done with book 1 of the Pendragon series, I went back to the library and borrowed book 2, then book 3, then book 4, then book 5, and so on. I spent hours reading them. The best part? I was having fun. I got to imagine different worlds, amazing characters, and fun adventures. It was also an escape from the torture of being different at school. Little did I know that reading fiction is one of the best ways to learn a language. There's a study where participants read a gripping novel. The parts of their brains responsible for understanding language were activated. Here's the best part: those parts of their brains were lit up for days even when they were not reading anymore. While those participants were involved in that study for just a week, I, on the other hand, exposed myself to reading fiction books for a year. I was learning a valuable skill, and it felt effortless because I was having fun. It also led me to reading other types of books down the road. Fast forward a year later, I got a job at a restaurant. Some of my coworkers were immigrants just like me, and I struck a conversation with one of them. "Hey," I said. "How are you?" he asked. "Good. Where are you from?" "Vietnam." "You?" "Philippines." "You been here a while?" he asked. "No, I moved here last year," I answered. "What? But you sound like you grew up here," he said. That's when I knew my efforts paid off. Principle number 3, dig your weaknesses out. I saw improvements in my English speaking skills, but there was a problem. I couldn't write. When speaking, I could blurt out words and still get by. For example, if I said bathroom, people would know that I was looking for the bathroom and they would give me directions. But writing, it was like a mirror that showed me my inadequacies. Luckily, the school offered a creative writing class. Since I read so many fiction books at that point, I thought I could write fiction, so I enrolled. How did it go? It was like getting kicked in the teeth. Every time we wrote something, we would share our work in class and would give each other feedback. And man, did I get feedback. They dug out all my weaknesses and really showed them to me. My grammar was abysmal, and I used the wrong vocabulary most of the time. But the battery of feedback gave me the opportunity to improve my writing. After all, I wouldn't know how to fix my work if I didn't know what to fix in the first place. After writing for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, and getting critiques for 5 months, I got better. Now, did I become an expert worthy of selling a book? No, but I became comfortable with writing, which allowed me to graduate in high school. The cherry on top, one of my pieces was published in the school paper. Fast forward into my adult life, new challenges keep coming at me like a storm in the night. Just when I get comfortable, I get blindsided by something else involving the English language. But that's the beauty of it. There's no finish line on this trip. The learning doesn't stop, and I can take this whole endeavor as far as I want. It's one of the very reasons I started this channel in the first place, but I digress. Let's recap. Number 1, get a clear picture of where you are. Number 2, get your reps in. Number 3, dig your weaknesses out. They may be cliche and are not as fancy as the learning hacks being taught today, but they are still the foundation of any skill development endeavors. So whether you are learning to speak English or learning any other skill, I hope that the things you've learned in this video are going to help you in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.